So guys, after the marathon dev live stream that happened on Saturday, a lot of content creators came out with their own developer interviews, and a whole lot of people also dropped some different game articles going over some information that they learned from the devs about Marathon. In today's video, I'm just going to be compiling basically everything that we've learned, go over all the questions and all the answers that were given, so let's just dive straight in. First up with some gameplay element stuff like runners and how factions work. So, first question was, how are runners different from other characters or heroes in other games? Kevin Yanis, who is a part of the run team, I believe, stated that a runner is a collection of 2 abilities, 2 passives, and a bunch of base stats that define a gameplay identity. They have their own personalities and backstories, but unlike other games, we won't be changing your vitality, move speed, or your silhouette in a way that you're this big hulking tank or little squirrely movement character. You're pretty close together, and that's intentional so that everyone kind of has their specialization in a role or gameplay fantasy, but not necessarily defines the only thing they're capable of doing. Quote, every runner has base stats and abilities. Those can be augmented. You can add more passives via cores, and you can change and add your stat packages with the implant slots. You can use any weapon in the sandbox and customize that weapon as you see fit, end quote. He even mentions that backpacks have gameplay elements and lists off abilities like auto-reloading guns, using items faster, and even some backpacks that let you go invisible. He then goes on to state that runners have different base stats that reinforce their identity and role, like heat capacity, jump height, strafe speed, loot speed, how fast you search through containers, ability regen rates, and self-repair speeds. He does state that auto-healing does seem to be a thing in this game, but it could take, quote, multiple minutes, end quote, not like other arena shooters where your health regens in a couple seconds, so you'll be wanting to use those healing items. Next, will existing runners ever get changes over times? He says that gold cores are able to augment a runner's ability, alluding to them adding more cores and new augments becoming available, even removing some cores for a given season and stuff like that, and stated that they don't want to change the base kits up, as we want you to be able to identify a runner based on silhouette and their behaviors and know what they're capable of and strategize around that. But they also don't want runners to sit and gather cobwebs, as he goes on to state. Next, what do shields and implants do? He states that shields have benefits like resistances tied to them, but those resistances come at a cost of stats. The example given was that kinetic resistant shield, which reduces ballistic damage from UESC, but comes with minus 15 heat capacity. Then talked about reinforced shields, which effectively half the damage that you take. So a 25 HP white shield with a reinforcement on it effectively becomes a 50 HP shield, and when you use a shield charge, you only need to use 1 to get a full 50 HP shield back, pretty much, which sounds really cool. Next, implants. The example given was the hot swap implant, which increases weapon handling and ADS speed for a weapon, but they also mentioned other implants that might also come with downsides as well as positives, similar to how shields do, and both implants and shields are losable in matches. They went on to say that you can upgrade your black market so that you can then buy higher rarity items like implants and backpacks and shields and stuff like that. So even through progressing through the game, you're still going to be gaining stuff so you can upgrade your factions and your black markets. Other things that were mentioned in terms of runners was character customization. This was stated by, I believe, by the assistant game director. He says, quote, you'll be able to customize your runners with skins. When asked if it will just be skins or if you can add/change things like shoes, cloaks and stuff, he says that we'll talk about it later, but then when asked about weapon customization, he states that we also want you to be able to customize your weapons too. So expect like an Eververse store equivalent also within this game. Hopefully there's also some way of earning these skins as well. But moving on now, let's talk factions. So what are factions and how do faction upgrades work? Well, this is kind of like a Destiny artifact system in a way. Factions work that they have upgrade trees that require you to rank up with the faction, but also have materials to unlock nodes. And those will give you benefits for the duration of the season and will reset on seasonal wipes. And across seasonal wipes, they'll be mixing up and adding new things to these trees and adding new nodes and stuff. These can also affect your black market or can upgrade your sponsor kits to give you access to backpacks, shields, and increase your vault space. And one thing to note is that those upgrades, you do not lose them when you die, so these act like permanent upgrades for the entire season. Next, are we able to freely swap weapon mods between weapons? Currently, I believe in the dev alpha gameplay that they were playing, and you saw in the live stream, you weren't currently able to switch weapon mods. I heard people saying that once you switch a mod, it would break it or something. They did go on to state that how do we allow players to manage their weapon attachments whilst also preserving a weapon economy system? So sounds like they are still figuring out how they want this system to work. And they also mentioned that there's a current system in the game where if an item trades hands enough times, its durability decreases. Joe Ziegler, the game director, went on to confirm that it's less about you using it and it getting weaker, and more about it when it changes hands, there's a tax and a cost. So if an item trades hands enough times, the item the next time it's picked up will just break, and the only thing you'll gain from that item is the monetary value of it. So you still get something for picking up that item even if it breaks, but I feel like most people didn't like this system, so that might get changed in the future. Next, for design choices on contracts, which are similar to like bounties really. For context, you have story mission contracts for each faction, with a total of 6 factions currently, and there are also randomly generated contracts after exfilling with a specific item from a match. But mainly the question was, why can you only have one at a time? They say that they're still in development on the system, but it helps players to focus on what they want to achieve in a run, which kind of makes sense, but also if you're a Destiny player, you like to have multiple objectives to do within a match, and having just one can be a bit annoying, having to just manually go through and choose which specific objective you want to complete every match. I'd much rather just have a whole list of things to do within a match and see what I can get done. And then they also go on to state that yes, there are going to be seasonal wipes, and the game director Joe Ziegler did confirm that every season is going to be 3 months long, and you'll keep your persistent achievements. So things like loot and stuff will reset. They did mention also that you'll be able to keep stuff within a season, so stuff to commemorate what you've done in a season. I'm guessing some cosmetic stuff, but they didn't really specify too much on this. Next up, let's talk maps. How many players per map? They state that each map has a different size and intention behind it, with Dire Marsh having 18 players, which is 6 crews of 3, which is one of their bigger maps. They also state that there is no persistent zones, so everyone loads into the match at the same time at the very beginning. Also, how variable is weather? Seems like weather won't change too much once you're in a match, but things like lightning strikes, if they hit you, quote, will EMP your systems, so you can't use abilities for a while, end quote. Weather conditions will have a main status effect as well, but also a lingering one. The example given was being poisoned, you take damage over time, but then when that poison completes, there's also a lingering status effect where your healing items will take twice as long to use. But they did also mention that there's a mechanics kit, I believe it was called, which is a consumable that can remove status effects from you. So those types of items are going to be very, very important within games. Next up, the question was asked about time limit. What happens if the timer reaches 0? Do I just die? He says that the AI enemies will notice you more and be more aggressive, and a warning will also show up on your screen letting you know that there is 2 minutes to get to the last exfil. Then the next question that was asked is AI random, or do they have specific spawn locations? From what I understood from the answer given is that POIs will always have AI combatants in them, but the type of combatant will at least be somewhat random. The example given was that one run you might run into an SMG wielding enemy within a building, but then other times you might run into snipers on the roof instead of that SMG wielding kind of building. The next question asked was, is there any loot you can keep when you die? They said that there is no insurance directly / safety box, but, quote, there's a bunch of loot that doesn't require you to exfil, end quote, and also sponsor kits seem to be a big thing. If you're low on loot in your vault or down on cash, factions will sponsor you with a gun, ammo, grenades, and healing items. It was also mentioned that you can upgrade your sponsor kits to give you implants, augments, backpacks, and all that good stuff. So leveling up these factions is definitely going to be something that you're going to want to do. And then the next question that was asked was, is there any like one-of-a-kind items similar to exotics within Destiny? He says that the team is cooking on these exact ideas. An example given was that gold cores that turn your double jump into a triple jump, or really change how much melee damage you do out of stealth. On the weapon sides, they like the idea of a loot type that is extremely rare and that people take notice of and immediately identify in the environment. Very similar to exotics inside of Destiny, but these are just things that the team is thinking about and have not committed to just yet. Now we're going to jump into like some game related stuff. First off, skill-based matchmaking. They say that there isn't going to be any skill-based matchmaking, and matches are instead going to be based on runner level. So the higher level you are, the more experienced you are, kind of thing. So newer players aren't going to be put in matches with god tier players basically, but there is no smurfing protection just yet. That system is still in active development. Next, crossplay and cross-save is a double yes. There'll be both of those features. Aim assist on controller and M&K. Seems like there's some slight aim assist on mouse, but this is still in active development, so take that with a grain of salt. Next question was proximity chat. That currently isn't in the game. Bungie still seems to be trying to work out if they want to add this feature. I've heard that some devs said that they didn't want to add it because of toxicity reasons, but that just doesn't really make sense to me personally, because proximity chat and extraction shooters is just a main part of the game. So I think that they will potentially add it in future, but it's not currently in the game right now. Next question, is there a reconnect feature if you disconnect in the middle of a run? Yes, but it's not 100% chance that you will be able to join back, but they're still working on this feature, it seems. Next up, is there kill cams? No plans right now, but it has come up in conversation. Next up, dedicated servers and anti-cheat. The game is still on the Tiger engine, but they've added dedicated servers to the Tiger engine and also a fog of war system, which is very standard with competitive shooters nowadays. And will they also be compensating players if they play against a cheater? This has also come up in conversation, so they're still working on it, it seems. Another question that was asked was, is there plans to combat RMT, which is real money trading apparently? So you can trade real money for an item a cheater got into a game via cheating, and they say that they do have plans to combat this, but didn't go into specifics. Next, is there friendly fire? No. Is there exfil streak rewards? No. Are there plans for you to share roadmaps on future content? Yes. Is leaning part of the game, where you can lean around a corner and see who's around there? No. How many maps are there? There are 3 at launch, with a 4th coming within the first season, and there are talks about updating maps with new season launches. Monetization, can you go into details? They don't really go into too much detail, but they say that this is a premium game, not a full-priced game. So that leads me to think that it's around the £40 mark, and definitely not anywhere near like £70 or £80 for this game. So it's not a free-to-play game either. Next, we've seen UNSC. Will other enemy types from past Marathon games be showing up in this game? We obviously saw in the cinematic that there was this like red alien creature in the game, and that looked really cool. All that they had to say on this was that they are really excited to explore this universe, so I'm taking that as a yes. They won't just be these robot enemies in the game, there will be some alien stuff coming in the future. Next question, is the UI finished? Nope, they're still working on it right now. Also added onto this question, in the trailers, they showed a lot more blood and gore than what we see in-game, and they said that they are still developing in-game assets, all the effects that happen when you die. So the visuals that you see, I believe, inside the short film that was shown, they take inspiration from those, but they aren't trying to hit that target. So it's not going to be a complete bloody mess when you kill someone, but it's also not going to be like a Fortnite thing where they just disperse into little pixels and just the bags left. There's going to be like a happy medium, I believe, in between all of it. Next, destructible environments. Is it going to go beyond just windows? Seems to be a no there. It's not going to be like the finals situation where you can blow up everything in a general area. It's going to be just condensed to mainly breaking glass in windows. Another question that was very much asked a lot was player trading and social hubs. There's nothing to talk about right now or announce about social hubs, and player trading, quote, is hard to do whilst also still maintaining the integrity of the progression and economy systems, end quote. So no plans for player trading right now. Next up, future modes beyond extraction. Nothing to talk about now. Plan is to just get core game feeling good and getting feedback. Next up, can you queue as a solo player? Yes, but there is no specific solo queue mode. Also, experience points are shared, and really rare materials and valuables are also shared as well with your teammates, which is good to know. Next up, we have ranked play information. They're still kind of working on the system and figuring out what success in this game means, so it's still in active development. And when speaking on rewards and if comp will have a major focus, was told that they will talk about it later and nothing to share right now. And the final question was endgame grind. They also said nothing to talk about right now, but aspirational maps that you'll need to gear up for and more difficult contracts seem to be the kind of general idea there. And that is every question and every answer that I could find in regards to Marathon. Obviously, there's probably some questions and answers that I missed out in this video, but I watched like 7 or 8 different interviews and found a lot of information about this game out. So hopefully you guys found this informational and helpful. If you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to watch any of the interviews that I covered in this video. I'll have them all linked in the description. But that's it from me here today. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next one.